A few days ago, Tucker Carlson accused the FBI of covering up information on Thomas Matthew Crooks, the man who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, putting a bullet across his ear. We're now learning that the individual went by they, them, completely flipped his ideology, and appears to have been a leftist trans furry. Once again, a story of someone holding this strange fetish, much like we've seen in the Charlie Kirk investigation. Now, of course, there are many people who are claiming the Charlie Kirk investigation is not true, that the FBI is once again putting out false information. But here's the sort of contradiction, I guess. The FBI under Joe Biden withheld information on Thomas Crooks, it is alleged. We are now getting information from Tucker Carlson. He put out this report showing the individual in question, and the New York Post has written this up as well, that this individual actually was a they-them with a furry fetish. We then get the story from the FBI under Trump pertaining to the Charlie Kirk assassination. And that is a transgender furry boyfriend assassinated Charlie Kirk. So I want to take a look at this because, well, both can't be true. I mean, not necessarily that both can't be true, but it is strange under the Trump administration, the stance of the FBI is now we're learning all of this about, these transgender furries. Why would Joe Biden withhold this information? Why was his administration withhold it? Trump's administration would publish it. Dare I say, my friends, this could all just be political. That is, we don't really know the motivation of Thomas Matthew Crooks, but according to the evidence that Tucker Carlson has put out and others have highlighted and reported on, he's a they-them. In which case, it makes sense. Why would a Trump supporter try and kill Trump? It's weird. But we do have people calling out the formal investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassin because there are many things that are strange and don't add up. Now, let's be honest. In my opinion, Occam's razor would suggest the Robinson Twiggs story, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, is the most likely one. But when I say there are things that don't make sense, it's those messages that got released that don't look like any real kind of text or online chat. It appears that it was fabricated. There's a few theories on this. One, of course, that creepy, weirdo internet cults talk in weird ways, and you can't try and you can't project your normalcy onto lunatics who kill people. That's a fair point. The other is that they intentionally wrote these messages to create reasonable doubt, and the FBI fell for it. And then, of course, there are people who believe the FBI just made the whole thing up. I have no idea. But I lean towards this dude, this Thomas Matthew Crooks, they, them, makes sense. Why would a Trump supporter try and kill Trump? The same thing is true for Charlie Kirk. Why would Turning Point kill Charlie? Why would Israel do it when he was, the founder of Turning Point, making them millions of dollars, making people wealthy? And he was doing these seminars with Gen Z and why Israel was great. Even if he was critical of Jewish donors and everything that Ken has pointed out may be true, even if TPUSA lied about what happened, it still makes the most sense. Let's take a look at this story and break it down. From the Post Millennial, Thomas Matthew Crooks went by they, them on DeviantArt. Linked account reveals furry fetish report. In fact, we have this video. I want to play just some of what Tucker Carlson had to say on the issue, and let's see if we can get to play. Apparently, it's not going to play. It should play. Here we go.
The digital comments we obtained were posted between 2019 and 2020, when Thomas Crooks was between 15 and 17 years old. They show two things. First, that Thomas Crooks was not some secretive lone wolf who never warned anyone that he was planning violence. Just the opposite. Years before he showed up in Butler, Crooks was leaving a detailed digital trail of violent threats, including calls for assassinations and political violence.
Wait, why did it just stop right there? It was a minute long. But you get the point. This is what Tucker presented. We now have this from the Post Millennial. They say an online social media account that has been linked to would-be Trump assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks shows the shooter appeared to have a furry fetish. And it's also described as him having they, them pronouns. The Butler shooter had online profiles from DeviantArt platform under the usernames Epic Microwave and The Epic Microwave. The outlet reported the social platform is an online hub for those in the furry community. I'm going to say this. Some may say it is these ideologies, these fetishes that are resulting in these violent tendencies. And I would say, sure, correlation is not causation. It could be people who are crazy and dangerous fall victim to these ideologies, these weird fetishes online, these communities. I do think it's fair to say it's likely the community that is radicalizing people, not the other way around. Otherwise, we'd see more assassins with other ideologies, which means for this guy, as well as the Twigs Robinson story, seems like these individuals are in these weird fetishist communities, and in that, they are breeding violence. Now, there's more to break down on this, of course, what Candace Owens had to say about TPUSA. Before we get into all that, my friends, we've got a great sponsor for you. It is AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. Check it out today. The Fed just dropped interest rates again, and that's really great news for American homeowners. If you're feeling overwhelmed thinking about the upcoming holidays, there is no better time than now to get your finances in order. It's hard to think about the holidays when everything's really expensive and your credit cards are already pushed to the max. With rates dropping, now is the time to pay off that debt. American Financing is helping homeowners access the equity in their home for instant savings. They are saving people just like you an average of $800 a month, and many are seeing rates in the low fives. It's a game changer compared to those sky-high credit cards. And if you start today, you may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you extra breathing room for the holidays. It costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, so don't wait. Call their salary-based mortgage consultants today. American Financing, 866-890-7811. That's 866-890-7811. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. So what do they say? You got the APR rates in the fives. Start at 6.196 for well-qualified borrowers. Call 866-890-7811 today. Shout out. Thanks for sponsoring the show, everybody. So here's the report. They say the accounts reportedly belonged to Crooks, suggested he was obsessed with cartoon characters that had muscular bodies with sexualized female heads. What? Man, the internet is cooking people's brains, dude. Crooks had also interacted with an account known as Willie Tepps, a social media profile that was uncovered by Tucker Carlson. The Post reported the account encouraged violence from Crooks. In an October 2025 comment, said he was contacted by Russian and American intelligence agencies. Quote, people who ask you to contact them when they just as easily could contact you are feds. This is how they avoid entrapment. Both American and Russian intelligence does this. I have chatted to both. Tepps is a member of the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated as a terrorist organization by the State Department. It's very interesting. Crooks was not simply some unnoble lone actor. He left a digital trail of violent threats, extremist ideology, and admiration for mass violence. He spoke openly of political assassination, posted under his real name, and it was even flagged by other users who mentioned law enforcement in their replies. Despite this, his account remained active for more than 5 years and was only removed the day after the shooting. None of this online activity was referenced in the final congressional report released in December of 2024, making this even more troubling, the source added. Now, here's where I find everything to be very, very interesting. Libs of TikTok, Trump shooter, non-binary. Minnesota school shooter, trans. Nashville shooter, trans. Colorado Springs shooter, non-binary. Aberdeen shooter, trans. Denver school shooter, trans. Iowa school shooter, trans. Charlie Kirk killer did it on behalf of trans boyfriend. It's time to have a serious conversation about the epidemic of trans violence. Indeed. But hold on there a gosh darn minute. We have this from Times of India. Candace Owens lists 10 TPUSA verifiable lies and raises big questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination story. Here's the issue that I see with the Candace Owens stuff, casting doubt on the official narrative, as it were, from the FBI. Now, by all means, I'm not saying the FBI is right about everything. I don't know. But if we have consistent narratives of all of these assassins, mass shooters, whatever you want to say, and their motivating ideology is left, when The Atlantic comes out and says, yeah, the left is substantially more likely to engage in terrorism, and we've all known this for years, what is the argument that this guy is not actually the person who killed Charlie Kirk? Now, I think there's an argument to entertain in that some have said Twigs may be the real assassin. I don't know if that's true. Something that we've talked about, these rumors. The argument is that Twigs, the trans furry boyfriend of Robinson, as it's been reported, they have a similar height and build. And some have said that the pictures don't really look like Robinson. It could be then that Twigs is the one who actually killed Charlie because he is a trans furry. And they crafted these messages and set it up so that Robinson would take the fall. Why? Well, so he'd take the fall. That's a simple Occam's razor. The assassin's trying to get away with it. It could be that when you bring Robinson to trial, they will create reasonable doubt by saying, look at this, he wasn't even there, or some kind of excuses or defense argument that's not been made to the public. I don't know for sure. I really don't. I would just argue that we have seen the left engage in overt acts of terror. Occam's razor suggests this is likely the case now, but it could very well be anything. Is it possible that Israel killed Charlie Kirk? Certainly it's in the realm of possibility, but I think it's so unlikely that I wouldn't even put it in my top 10 arguments of who killed Charlie Kirk. But there are people who just hate Israel. All these arguments made, whatever you want to say about Charlie, he was holding these seminars that were pro-Israel, and he was critical of donors because he was working with Tucker and Candace. But Candace has on this story from the Times of India, 10 TPUSA verifiable lies raising big questions about Charlie Kirk's assassination story. Now, my understanding is that Candace has said that she doesn't believe Robinson is the assassin. I don't know why. I don't know the point of this line. It's only damaging to the investigation. It only provides reasonable doubt, and it only taints the public, making it harder to get a conviction if it is the guy. However, if your argument is you believe the FBI is lying and covering this up and that someone else was involved, or you believe like Israel did it, then absolutely you want to dismantle whatever they're going after right now. But let's take a look at the article and see what Candace is actually saying. Candace Owens spoke on her podcast November 13th. She said she found 10 verifiable lies that she believes Turning Point USA told after Charlie Kirk was killed. Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck on September 10th. This we all know. Tyler James Robinson was arrested. In her show, Candace Owens said TPUSA gave wrong or confusing stories about what happened that day. She said some stories made people sound more heroic, more loyal, and more important than they really were. She also said some stories changed facts about Charlie Kirk, his beliefs, his staff, and what happened at the scene. What I will say is Candace is massively popular. She has what people describe as a female-coded podcast. That's not derisive. Some people might get offended by that. I don't know. You can see like the Stanley Thermos or whatever it is, very trendy among women. The true crime, celebrity drama stuff works very, very well. And so she probably does a really great job of attracting a female audience, of which I do not. 20% of Timcast viewers are female because we're guys talking about guy stuff in ways that guys watch. Candace, she nails it with the female audience. So here we go. Candace Owens explains her list of verifiable lies told after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Candace Owens then shared 10 lies. So here's what I want to say about what Candace is doing. As to why it works, it's true crime drama. Again, that's not derisive. That's a fact. She is exploring all the mystery and the lies around a murder that women love this stuff. True crime is like the biggest genre for females. TPUSA verified lies. What I will say of Turning Point USA, and, my understanding is that there's many people there who are mad at me, and I've said they were going to get mad at me, and I'm not here to hold anyone's hand, and I will say I disagree with Candace on this stuff. I think what she's doing is, whether intentionally or not, misleading, and I'll explain exactly why, but for the Turning Point people who get mad at me, it is what it is. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to play games. I'm not going to, let me put it like this. Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Turning Point had no choice. They have to put on a strong face, tell stories of heroism. Nobody smears a guy after he dies. You know what I mean? Like you go to a funeral and there's a dude you didn't like, but you'll say, you know what? Here's what I can say that was good about him. In the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Turning Point wants to put out a narrative of strength, honor, integrity, and morale. Donors need to be convinced they will carry on and everything's going to go great. And you know what? By all accounts, it seems like they're doing pretty dang well. They were giving out shirts at UFC. They've opened tons of new chapters. Seems like they're doing pretty dang well. But there are some that, following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, did not know if Turning Point USA could survive without him. Charlie Kirk was the guy. And there are many people who don't like it when I say that, because they have to maintain high morale. They have to tell everybody, we are fearless. From this, you're going to get embellishment. You're going to get secondhand stories that are wrong. Candace Owens calls them verified lies, which, whether intentionally or otherwise, implies or creates a narrative that Turning Point was involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Now, why I'm getting to this is not to just debate the Candace TPUSA stuff, but it's to point out, if we have this list of transgender or furry or non-binary shooters, was that all made up? Is the government right now, the feds, the intelligence agencies, trying to besmirch and smear trans individuals as dangerous? Honest question. Here's what Candace says. First lie. Mike McCoy had blood all over him. She says Rob McCoy lied. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. Says Colvett lied. Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet because he ate salad and had strong bones. Colvett lied, she says. Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. She says that was a lie. Mike McCoy called his father. She says that was a lie. Terrell was told to move the cameras by police. She says that was a lie. Terrell removed SD cards because people were stealing hats. Says that's a lie. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk never had any bad blood between them. She says that's a lie. Charlie establishing Doge was not unusual. Turning Point was financially audited. The company, blah, blah, blah. She says that was a lie. Mike McCoy was a hero that day. She says that was a lie. Listen, yeah, some of these are probably lies, for sure. There's video, I guess, of like Mike McCoy walking away after Charlie shot, getting on the phone or whatever. And so he wasn't heroic. But I'll just say this. Not everybody saw exactly what happened. Not everybody knows what happened. And some people are going to lie intentionally because they want to create a positive narrative. They don't want to say it was cowards that day who fled in panic like losers as their friend was dying. Who's going to say that? From there, Candace is now going, why are they lying? Let me say this one. I've mentioned this one before. Charlie's next up to 30-06 bullet because he ate salad and had strong bones. Well, that's not a lie. This is the problem I have with all of this stuff. Why did Colvett issue a statement saying that Charlie was strong with great bones? Because he's trying to create a grand image of the strength of Charlie Kirk, who was just murdered. This is what we do. Everyone does this. People say great things, even about John McCain. And we have deep criticism for John McCain here at Timcast, for sure, as do many anti-interventionists. I didn't go out. You know, when he died, I said he was a man who believed he was fighting for his country, and he fought for his moral worldview. And that's not saying a lot because I've got a lot of good, but I don't besmirch the dead like that. Probably rarely. The point is, a 30-06 bullet, depending on the pressure, at an angle, can stop. And there were so many people that were trying to put out these narratives, and then Colvett's trying to play this PR game. And I've said it before, I don't think they're doing a very good job of it. Again, maybe they'll get mad that I'm saying it, but criticism does not mean I don't like you or we're mad. It means I think we need to, what needs to be said for all this stuff is because TPUSA has come out and tried to just play the superhero of infinite strength, it's being used by people to insinuate they were involved, or there are people who genuinely believe because of these statements being gross exaggerations, lies, or otherwise, that they're involved. And I just want to say this, guys. Two important things. First, about Andrew Colvett. People were like, he was tired of being in the shed. I wanted to. No, this is absolutely incorrect. We've done Turning Point for years. We've been at AmFest for years. Andrew Colvett at any time could have done whatever he wanted. Did he want to do a show? Did he want to go on a press junket? Did he want to start tweeting his opinions? Nothing was stopping him from doing it. He was an intentionally behind the scenes guy. And Charlie Kirk made all of these people wealthy. This is the craziest thing to me. Like the argument that they decided to intentionally kill the goose that laid the golden egg. It makes no sense. Charlie wasn't going anywhere. He was going to be president one day and he was bringing all of his friends with him. Why would they stop him from doing it? That's just like everything you can point out about what you think they lied about. Again, not to get into this big argument, because who knows? Fine. Maybe. I really doubt it. The implication, of course, being that Erica Kirk is just ignorantly working alongside the people who murdered her own husband just seems wrong to me. And then people made fun of Erica Kirk because she keeps wiping tears away from her eyes or she's not acting the way they think she should act. Listen, we have all of these stories about transgender, furry-aligned, violent leftists. And I'm like, probably makes the most sense. When it comes to Charlie Kirk, that's the same story. Why would we believe it wasn't? So I'm going to stress it again. What I'm saying is, I don't know for sure. The Crook stuff is really interesting, and it's Tucker Carlson, of all people, putting it out. Well, people are criticizing him because they're saying he and Candace are of the same cloth or whatever. They hate Jews in Israel, whatever it may be. Well, Tucker's coming out saying it was another transgender furry who assassin story. And Candace is arguing against that narrative in the Charlie Kirk assassination. What I do want to say is this. I'm going to tell you guys the secret. There are text messages that Candace has put out where Charlie is agreeing with her and he's being very nice. I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Charlie was holding everything together. And anybody who is trying to negotiate with various factions to create a coalition to win an election, what Charlie did, it's called rapport. It's the first thing you do. Let's say there's a Hatfield and a McCoy. Maybe I shouldn't use that feud. Let's say there's a pancake enthusiast and a waffle enthusiast. And oh boy, they're going at each other and ready to rip each other's heads off. Ben and Candace, notoriously not friends. And pancake guy, he's going to go out and he's going to attack waffles. And that's bad because, I'm trying to create a breakfast coalition. So here's what you do. You get on the phone with the pancake guy and he says, listen, I am sick of these waffles. They need to get what's coming to them. You say, I hear you, man. Man, these waffle guys are so arrogant. You build rapport, you agree. And then you say, let me deal with this. Let's keep the temperature low. Now, what happens? There's text messages between me and this other guy. It makes it look like I don't like this other waffle guy. I then call that guy, and he says, I'm so sick of these pancake guys and their errands. And you say, listen, man, I get you. They've been ragging on you. I'm not okay with this. I hear you. Let's negotiate. Charlie was friends with Ben and Candace, and he was trying to be amicable to both and to be rapport building. I hear what you're saying. Yes, I agree. These things are bad. Now, let's hold things together. And so long as Charlie was around, it appeared like that's what was happening. Now Candace is showing texts where Charlie was like, I can't believe Ben would say this or whatever. And it's like, right, he was trying to hold the coalition together. So when it says like Charlie believed this or didn't believe that, well, you need to hear it from Charlie, but they killed him. And I believe it was likely leftist motivated because it makes no sense for his own organization to kill him. And it makes no sense for Israel to do it. You can come up with some arguments, but when you look at the big picture, it doesn't line up, as well as leftists hated Charlie because he was the one who held the coalition together. I think we have a leftist trans violence problem. And I think libs of TikTok, I think libs of showing this list, it's there in front of your face. Believe it or don't. I'm going to leave it there. Smash the like button, share the show, stay tuned. More to come. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next segment.